Okay, so my course theme is spelling for kindergarten, so I decided to develop my lesson around my theme. So my lesson is spelling for kindergarten, and basically spelling is the essential step for this grade level, learning how to read and write. And so here you can see there are a lot of standards that have to do with this lesson, and most of these are hit in my plan. And so my target audience is going to be kindergarten students, and one of the major challenges I've found with creating this lesson is that the use of technology has to be a little bit minimal, because although students at this age know a lot more about technology than like I did at this age, it still has its rightful place in the classroom, but also a not rightful place in the classroom. So it was kind of hard to create a lesson that can utilize technology for this age group. Um, and so you can see that I have my learning objective here. And so my first learning objective was at the end of the lesson, students will be able to identify letters and their sounds with 90% accuracy. So chances are that the students know their alphabet, but maybe they might not know the sounds. So hopefully this portion of my lesson will teach them those letter sounds. And so basically with this, they're going to have a PowerPoint that I or the teacher will already create with like a picture or just the letter, and then it's going to have like a voiceover or like a little voice button that the students could click and listen to the pronunciation of the letter along with its sound. Um, and so students are going to be thinking about like the letters of the alphabet, they're going to be thinking about the sounds of each letter, and then they're also going to be thinking about the long and short sounds of vowels because those are easily mixed up. And so students are going to then be talking to the teacher. So the teacher will call the students up one by one and basically just have them say the alphabet along with the sounds of the letter, and those can be done through like flashcards or just like by having them go through the alphabet alphabetically. And then the teacher is going to be able to assess whether or not they know all the letters and their sounds, or which ones maybe they need to spend more time on. And then in the next part of the lesson, the objective is at the end of the lesson, students will be able to use the knowledge about letter sounds to spell sight words with 80% accuracy. So this part of the lesson, students are going to be taking that sound of letters and knowledge, um, like their knowledge of letters and sounds, in order to spell sight words. And sight words are high frequency words that students are going to see almost every day, and they're seen in like easy books or around the classroom. So students are going to be given like a list of sight words, just kind of like a spelling test, how that would run. So they're going to be given a list of words and asked to like learn them and review them. And so what students are going to do is like going to identify the letters that they see in the word. So we're just gonna have them basically interact like with the teacher as a class, like kind of going through each word and deciding like what letters they see. Then we're going to pronounce the words and we're going to talk about what sounds we hear. And then we're going to have the students brainstorm maybe where they might see these sight words or use these words, hear them. And so the students are going to have like the teacher's going to create a slideshow with like the sight word as like the title of each slide, and then the students are going to be asked to like fill in this information in the text box in whatever way they want, however it answers the question. So like the first one is what letters do you notice? So like the students are basically just going to be examining the letters and like maybe spelling it or however they want to do it. What letter sounds do you hear? So they're going to be like saying like the R sound or like the long A sound, the long E sound, the short I sound, and like various things like that. And they can do that through like a voiceover, or maybe they could just type it out. And then the part of like where do you see or use these sight words, students are going to be like giving examples, and the teacher's going to assess them based on their like spelling, but also if they answered the questions. Um, and so the whole purpose of like letting them create and like manipulate the PowerPoint is because a lot of students learn differently. So some students might learn through like writing things out, like typing, and then other students might learn through like a picture representation, so the teacher is really going to probably get a mixture of like different ways that the student might learn. And that's a great way to assess because everybody learns a little differently, so like you want to make it optimal for the students, and so this gives them the opportunity to really create with how they want it to be. And then in the next part of the lesson, they're going to be taking that knowledge of letters and sounds to spell like different words other than sight words, so that it's kind of like a ladder effect in this lesson. And so students are going to be listening to an audio file that contains like the teacher saying words, and they're going to have a piece of paper, and they're just going to basically spell the words how they think they sound. And this part is so crucial at this age because it is so important for students to be able to listen to the sounds that they hear in words and spell them how they sound, even if they're correct or not. And so this will really help the teacher see if like what phase they might be in spelling and know how to correctly help them from there on. And so then the students are going to be kind of thinking about like why it's important, what's the purpose, and how can you spell words, how can spelling words like the way they sound help us spell words correctly. And so then students are going to be asked to walk around the room and like kind of just spell how they think it's spelled, words or like items or places, areas in the room that they want to really focus on, and this can be like a minimum or a maximum kind of thing, so the teacher can really decide how many they want them to do. And the students are going to create just a simple PowerPoint with like their spelling of the word, and then like a picture of the word, so they can find that picture from like Google Images, or they could even maybe take a picture depending on what devices they have available to them in the classroom. And this will really also still help the teacher like assess what phase of spelling they're in, as well as like see if they're on the right track with spelling and their development. And hopefully students can then be able to understand the purpose of being able to spell words how they sound. And then these are my resources, and it's just kind of Gentry's 5 Stages of Spelling. That's really the key thing. And then Google Images, there's not really that much content because with kindergarten it's very hard to pull sources and like have them like spew all this information at them, because they're not going to understand it unless they're like manipulating it. So hopefully this lesson is engaging enough for them, but also to learn, because this is a really crucial lesson in the kindergarten atmosphere, and it is very hard to teach, so it's very difficult to come up with a technology-based lesson because students may not understand it that well. But hopefully this lesson has the right mixture of technology and hands-on activities for students to learn.